Now your host, an advocate for the people and our Constitution, Denise Mraz.
Hello there and good morning from KKVV Studios down here on Highland Drive. I have got an amazing CD1 candidate with me. Gosh, we've been talking already and now we're like, oh, we have to do the show. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Kamau Bakari. I'm a native Las Vegan. My parents been here since 1941, and they're passed away now. 03 from my mother, 04 from my father. And I went to high school here, class of 75. They call it Southern Nevada. Well, it's Votech when I went there, but they're at Mountain Vista in Russell, top of the hill there. That's Southeast Career Tech, I think, a vocational school. And I took electronics, and that's probably got a lot to do with why I'm an electrician today. I'm an electric contractor, self-employed for next month will be 23 years working for myself.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's a little about me. I'm married. My second wife. I don't trust a guy unless he's got at least 2 ex-wives. I'm married and to 27 years now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm happy. Life's good. Everybody's happy. I think I'm happy for this opportunity to vent a little some of my ideas and frustrations on what I hear going on, and nobody willing to speak up, so I'll speak up.
Well, I think you're doing a great job. So we were talking a little bit about your political past. You were a Democrat for how many years?
19 years. Well, my parents were Democrats, so
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm a kid growing up, graduated high school. My first election, 76, I voted for Jimmy Carter.
An inherited party,
Yeah.
and then you switched over to the Republicans.
Republicans, right. The first year I paid taxes, I think was 93. I had to pay taxes, so in 94 I changed to Republican.
Because you saw that the Democrat Party was the tax-happy
right,
party.
my involvement in it, I don't call the guy's name, he may be passed away now. Charlie Waterman was one of the guys, and she just passed away. That's the lady named Harriet Trudell. They were big in there, and I was having dealings with them, and just some of the stuff they would say, like when they came with they were talking about years ago, I think Bill Bray was in there, and they were talking about the debt or the deficit, and they didn't have a problem with spending more money than you take in. Anyway, I was saying some stuff, and Charlie Waterman screamed at me, "Hey, you're a Republican, you're a Republican," and I didn't, because of my views, and I didn't realize, I didn't know what he meant. I'm a registered Democrat. Why is he calling me a Republican? But my ideas were out of place with them, with what I thought the government should be doing with the money. And so I didn't know any better, but as time went on, I learned better, and so I adjusted and came over to those guys, the Republicans.
Yeah, the Republicans.
And it was more in line.
But right now with Trump's spending bills, people are going crazy because of traditional Federal Reserve relationships and the deficit, and we know what his plan is. He's already told us. The ARC has come in. It has delivered us after the 40-day quarantine. It has dropped us off at the shore. And now it's going to be taking on so much debt, he is going to send it back out. The Federal Reserve is going to be sunk. Now, a month ago, he merged the Federal Reserve with the Treasury.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yes, I did a big story on it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So this is like the biggest news in history, right?
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I never heard that.
Yeah. Did you know Levi Strauss actually supplies our paper fabric to make the money to the Federal Reserve? This is, when I start looking into these things, I can't believe it. Well, the Federal Reserve currently is just now our money printing contractor. Mm-hmm. And everything's getting transferred over to the Treasury. And essentially all of this debt is going to be shipped back out to the ocean and sunk. And the Federal Reserve is going to go away. It's going to be bankrupted.
Oh, yeah? That might not be a bad thing. I know
it's a great thing.
When it comes to macroeconomics, I don't understand all of it, but I do know that you ought to live within your means, and the government especially.
But look at the Jekyll Island and the Federal Reserve Act and everything, how they drained away all of our wealth as, individuals for our prosperity, especially through unfair taxation, illegal taxation.
Roosevelt confiscated all the gold. Said,
right.
Hey, turn in all your gold.
Yeah.
I read about that. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the day before 9/11, they even took all the gold out of that area. God, it's a sordid history.
Well,
but the bottom line is Trump is returning us to the gold standard That's absolutely
That would
happening
be
right
good.
now.
That would be good.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, so all of this debt, people are worried, oh, we're going into such debt no, we're actually getting the money back that we should have never had taken from us.
Yeah.
So it's really an exciting time. I mean, we're living in Class A miracle times.
I didn't hear that. All I can talk about is the virus. I don't want to hear about the virus too much. You can't get away from it.
Right.
Now they're saying it makes a difference in people. Black is like it's a racist virus. It's only
No.
getting the black folks, huh?
Well,
Color people. I mean, that's what they're saying. I didn't get it. I'm not hearing that. I think that's overblown. But it's in all the news and so much other stuff they're not telling us.
Right.
And that's what I want to talk about. And other stuff.
Yeah.
Like this political correctness. That's my pet peeve. That's why.
Me too.
That's why I can't stand the terms they use. That you hear them all this community, that community. Well, I live in Sunrise Manor, and there's a Japanese-looking lady next door to me. She don't live in the Japanese or Asian community. She lives in Sunrise Manor.
Mm-hmm.
The Filipino-looking guy from Philippines lives next door to me. He don't live in the Filipino community. He lives in Sunrise Manor.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexican guy across the street, he don't live in Mexican or Hispanic community. He lives in.
They've done a great job with
Sunrise
division
Manor.
politics,
Right.
haven't they?
Whenever they say the community, this or that community, any private people can say whatever they want, but the government shouldn't do it. When I hear a Metro cop talk about the Asian community, that's not good. He can't
Right.
say that. You tell us the neighborhood. It's got a name.
Yes.
There's no Asian community on the map. Where
Right.
is that? Yeah, come on. So the government shouldn't do it. That's my thing. The
Yeah.
government, when they do it, then it takes on a whole new meaning.
Well, we all bleed red, right? We all
Right,
bleed red.
right.
We're all born with equal opportunity. It's what we do with it through our individual liberty that makes us what
right,
we
the
are.
choices we make.
Yeah.
In my family, I have a couple brothers that I was.
You
one
have a
was
lot
born
of
in-
brothers and
Well,
sisters, you were
yeah,
saying.
you said it was a big family. It's 8,
eight.
but that it didn't seem big when I was growing up. It was like typical. I think it was like average. I think it wasn't 15. It was 8. So, I know a guy with 15. You know.
Wow.
So anyway, but I got a brother that's born in 56. I was born in 57. I got a brother born in 59, and we turn out totally different. One's in prison. One's been to prison a couple times. I never been to prison, and we physically looked alike. We come to the exact same neighborhood, parents, everything the same, and
All down to choices.
And we turn out right. And how come when I ask people, I says, I'm gainfully employed, work for myself, always have had a job, and I said, how do you explain me? And I ask black and white people, especially the black ones that blame the white people. And how do you explain me? And I get different answers. This one guy says, well, I fell through the cracks. I fell through the cracks.
What?
Yeah, because I'm on
Of
mortgage.
the white sidewalk?
Yeah, my mortgage is paid. Yeah, my mortgage is paid. I work every day. I work for myself. And I felt something's wrong with me. I don't have any babies out of wedlock. I'm not a baby daddy or baby mom that I know of now. I wasn't always who I am, so it could be something in the past, but that I know of. And I'm odd that way. That he says I fell through the cracks, and just the whole idea of that. How come there's something wrong with me? Why shouldn't I be the norm
Right.
and not abnormal?
Do you feel like you could be the candidate to help break that legacy of thinking like that and get people into the whole naturalization mode of we're naturalized Americans, we're all here for the same purpose?
Natural law. I believe in natural
Yeah.
law, and we as Americans, we got the same opportunities as anybody else. Only but I do recognize that after the Civil War ended slavery, physical slavery, and so many young
But
black
not
people
really,
don't know that.
because the 14th Amendment
Well,
set up the administrative government, which enslaved us
yeah,
all.
it was written poorly. I agree,
Yeah.
it was written poorly, and it was intended. I believe the intent was to make citizens out of the former slaves, and not for illegal aliens to come here, have babies, and be citizens. It wasn't meant for that. And they
Right.
started to consider anybody born in America automatic citizen, and that's not right.
Correct.
But that's been going on for a lot of years, and it's like custom or tradition or protocol even.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what it's hard to break those kind of things. It takes leadership to speak up and say that's not right. And I think somebody from the black side ought to say, no, you're taking advantage of us. That was just for us.
Right.
That was just for us. It was poorly written, but
To
it's just for us.
emancipate those
Right, the
people.
newly freed slaves. A lot of things, but it's still there was psychological damage done during slavery of all the years,
Right.
and that's why we still have the problems we have. There's one guy put it real nicely. He said the problems we have today are have their foundation in slavery. still with us today.
But we're all on the plantation with the taxation that happened that's so illegal.
That's right. No, we're wage slaves.
Yeah.
Right, we're wage slaves. And what? But
Trump's
what,
changing that, by the way.
Yeah, he's one guy. He needs help.
Yes.
We need regular people to stand up. I got a trivia question for you. How many cowards signed the Declaration of Independence?
0.
0, right. They're all brave.
And
they
John
put their life on the line.
Hancock did it huge, so
right.
the king could see his
Right.
signature.
But a lot of people are afraid today to speak up.
Oh, yeah.
And to say something.
Well,
They were
look
afraid
at the
then, too,
tyranny of privilege licensing. So we're going through this right now with the COVID crisis. So doctors and coroners, medical examiners, even sheriffs who are medical examiners, because in Nevada you could be both, receive letters late last year that if you have a death and you test the decedent's blood and it tests for COVID-19, you are to put that on the death certificate as primary source of death. Now that's illegal.
Yeah.
However, the issue is that almost everyone that received the flu shot will test positive for COVID-19 because a side effect of the flu shot is the fact that in 2012, the NIH published on their website, which I have the screen capture of, added SARS-CoV-19 to all the flu shots. So everybody that got a flu shot has SARS-CoV-19.
I've never got a flu shot, and I don't expect to ever get anything from the government.
Yes,
on purpose.
Right. They're not our best friend.
Well, this virus is way overblown. I don't believe it's nearly as bad as it is. And it could be a godsend. I think it's going to be a lot of unintended consequences of it, though.
Well, unintended consequences for the bad guys, but intended wonderful things for you and I, who have been, contributing and working.
Right. Yeah, I'm still working.
I think of it as almost like a reverse rapture. Because, a lot of the rapture stories are all the bad guys stay here and all the people sent to heaven. No. I mean, look at Gitmo. Look at all of the mass arrests going on.
How's the government going to get funding after all this? They're going to have a big gap in their funding and revenue streams.
Well, here's why they
what
won't.
Do you expect
Here's Trump's plan, according to what I've read, is that he will have a state sales tax. And everybody, though, is going to be paying the tax. So the IRS is getting defunded. It's going away. They won't be collecting tax based on our wages.
When are they gonna defund the IRS? I never heard any administration cut anything in government. Government just grows and grows. Every year
High
the
five
budget's
to that,
bigger than
brother.
ever.
I'll tell you.
When did they cut anything? They get accused. Democrats accuse Republicans of cutting something. I wish they don't cut anything.
Well,
Nobody
the
cuts
Federal
anything.
Reserve just got cut. Look at the amount of government jobs gone.
There's a line item for the Federal Reserve in the federal budget. Is that what you're telling me?
No, the Federal Reserve got transferred into the U.S. Department of Treasury. It is now under the Treasury.
Yeah, I never heard that. Is that
You got to follow my blog.
I gotta follow you and see
I
your
tell
blog.
you. Well, see, this is the news that no, I'll call it news outlet.
Not even Newsmax?
They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about it.
Because
That's just it.
all it does is elevate people's, I'll call it
Awareness, anxiety
awareness.
in some cases.
Yeah, but when they see Trump doing these things, they're like, oh my God, he is taking us back to our constitutional republic.
Well,
That's the exciting thing about
Trump
it.
is the best one come along in a long time. I like
Yes.
it that they didn't give him credit. He come like hired off the street, so to speak, never held office. But he's going to be gone here soon. And I don't hear,
Well, wait,
I
you don't
hear
think he's
anybody-
going for
nobody-
another 4 years?
Well, no, he's gonna. This is his. Yeah, no, he's gonna probably win the election more likely than not. I bet you a dollar he's gonna win. So no, he's gonna be it again. But
I'll take that
there's
bet.
nobody standing on his side. When he said that the media was the enemy of the people, do you
It
know
is.
any? I agree. Do you know any elected official that agreed with him? That publicly said so? Agreed with him?
Well,
I don't know any.
Congress got real evil, which is why it gives me hope that you're running. Because you're somebody in there that has seen the government in action. You don't trust what corruption and abuse of power can do.
Right.
And those are the kind of people we need, the people like you. I know you've got a list of some things that you want to do.
Yeah, and I got calluses in my hand. And I tell people these
There
are
you
my
go.
credentials.
Ah.
But when you shake hands, or maybe now you don't. bump
Credentials
fists,
on your
You
digits.
can just see them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guys that work for a living worked with their hands. Construction
Yes.
workers.
Skilled workforce.
Yeah, that's
so
somebody, the
important.
regular people, and not lawyers, not academics, not the people who come out of the classroom like
Right.
the incumbent here now. that
Oh, Dina Titus is a
Yeah.
former professor at UNLV.
right, yeah, and maybe on the side still getting some of the money. I saw one of the articles she's getting 100,000 a year for 2 classes
Right,
or something.
doing next to nothing. Oh, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about what you'd really like to do as a congressperson.
Well, I want to. I think like Heritage Foundation, they give like these orientation classes. To learn
Right. Every
what
Monday night, the
congressmen
Sentinel
do,
strategy call at 5 o'clock.
what Congress people are supposed to do and
Yes.
what the role and everything. But I want to get back as close as we can to the Constitution. Now, from day one, we haven't done the only election we ran properly, according to my readings, was the first one. The Electoral College hadn't operated the way it's supposed to be, except one time, the first time, when you're supposed to pick your what do you call it, the 6 guys for Nevada's got 6. What do you call
Right.
them guys?
Our panel.
To represent in Congress.
Right, the Electoral
2 senators,
College.
Yeah, the electors. You
Yeah,
pick
the
6
electors.
for Nevada. Would have 6 electors, 4 for the House and 2 for the Senate.
Right.
They had 6 electors. Those 6 electors. This is how Electoral College it's supposed to work. They would choose 2 names for president. One that would more likely live in Nevada, and one that couldn't live in Nevada by law. That's the Constitution set up. They didn't want the 2 guys, the president and the vice president, coming from the same state.
That's a
that was the
good
beginning.
idea.
Yeah, that was the beginning. And so they picked 2 people. All 6 Nevadans would pick 2 people for president, not president, vice president, president. Parties changed it to president. The parties are bad for the system. And they tried to
agree.
design a system to keep parties out. I belong to a party, but my party don't believe in parties. I know that's kind of contradictory.
Well, no, it's not, because look at how the Republican Party has been bastardized over the decades, and they've become so many rhinos.
Well, sure,
So
yeah. They
they-
grow the government too. You can't
Right.
tell the difference. They've been compromised. They were
Yes.
supposed to be I think the party was founded for polygamy because of the Mormons, and then slavery.
Yes.
Anti-slavery. Well, those 2 things are not issues now.
Right.
And so they could go away. They should go away because they're not really opposition. They're just maybe Democrat light or just slow things down. There's some decent guys in there, but you saw the way they behaved with the Tea Party. I love the Tea Party.
I love
movement.
the Tea
That
Party.
was regular people.
But then,
like
look
me.
at Mark Meckler. Mark Meckler ended up getting hijacked by George Soros, and now he's a Soros elite.
Oh yeah, who was he? Was he one of the Tea Party guys?
He was a main Tea Party guy back in the day.
What's the woman's name? There was a woman in it too.
I don't
I
remember
get some
her
mailings
name.
from
Yeah.
Tea Party. There was no real head. It was like just a kind of movement. It
A
was like,
loose movement.
Yeah, kind of for just the local people to
Yeah.
come and vote for somebody out of the Tea Party, regular
Yeah.
people. And I was involved in when Bob Ruttman took over
right.
the county party. The Tea Party came down there and kind of took them over, and then it just
Everything
just got absorbed.
all hell broke
just
loose.
kind of got absorbed. And
Well, remember at the voting that when Cindy Lake came in and they
that's just it.
and they
that's what's wrong with
they
parties.
dismissed the convention,
But
and that was
it's
crazy.
the nature of the beast, human nature.
Yes.
It's hard to hurt cats, hurt
Yes.
people, get people to lead, and you just got these dynamics that come into play no matter what, and it's normal and natural. But parties are gonna. I hate to say corrupted, but over time that's what's going to happen.
corrupted.
Yeah, they are.
They're-
Yeah,
well,
let's just say it. They're
there's
going to get corrupted.
They absolutely are, but I'll tell
have
you what,
to.
I think voters really agree with you, because I was looking at the statistics, so I'm working with a candidate for assembly, and last night I had to fill out one of those surveys, and I was looking at our statistics for the voters of recently that was just closed out in March, and guess what the biggest pool is? Nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan, right.
I mean, that
Fed up
big
with the
section in the
parties,
middle,
right. You know
and
something's
those
wrong.
ends are getting smaller and smaller
Right.
and smaller. So
Yeah.
I think the party's power is being whittled down, which is good.
The parties have become special interests
Yes.
in and of themselves.
Yes, they have.
They are a special interest.
Right.
Like big
Yes.
pharma, big whatever you want
Right.
to call it. The parties have been corrupted.
Totally.
And people have to think out of the box and do something different. Don't vote for that same D or R. Vote for a libertarian even if you want. Anything but the D. You might not be a bad idea to not just don't vote for any incumbent. It might not be a bad idea,
Yeah.
and you can't go
Well,
wrong.
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look for the least amount of endorsements and the least amount of special interest money. Who's running on their own money, of their own volition, on their own merits, with
Yeah.
their own time and their own
Right?
efforts.
If you want an honest guy with character, you want to meet him, look him in the eye. You want somebody not too smart. Like, I think I'm not that smart. You look
Oh,
at the
but
guy and
I
if he
see
get-
the reading
you
list you brought, and
you wanna look
I think that
Well, I
you're
read a
just
lot.
being a little too humble.
You want to look at the guy if his shoes are on the right foot, and if they're tied, or if better still, no laces at all. And that's what's kind of what you don't want to get those. The guys are you get these real super smart guys in there, and then you wonder how they beating you out of your stuff because they're conniving and scheming.
That's right.
All this money, pot of money, and it's just the funding for the federal government was intentionally. Imagine the states when they created the federal government, and so many people don't know the states created the federal government.
Yes, they did.
The states were there first, then they created the federal government.
Yes.
They created the federal government, and the ninth state, let's see, Delaware,
Connecticut,
Delaware,
right?
Pennsylvania. Here's the order: Delaware first, Pennsylvania second, New Jersey third, Georgia fourth, Connecticut fifth,
Okay.
Massachusetts sixth, Maryland 7, South Carolina 8.
And
The ninth state, New Hampshire. When New Hampshire, on June 21, 1788, when they ratified the Constitution, that triggered the formation of the new government. And I can imagine that's when the first parties started showing up, too, because they call them Federalists, who wanted this new central government, and Anti-Federalists, who didn't. When the Federalists, and Alexander Hamilton, I like him, and he was at odds with Thomas Jefferson. He'd be an Anti-Federalist. And it had to be, at some point, they had to say, okay, Alexander Hamilton, you got this new federal government. How much money you think you're gonna need to run it? How much money you think you're gonna need? And what if he would have said, we need more money than it's 12 states, it's 13 colonies, 13 states, but Rhode Island didn't show, so 12. You can say 12 or 13. We need more money than all 13 of you states put together. They would have fell over laughing or shot him, right? But we're there now. The federal government's budget is bigger than all 50 state budgets combined. And it's not just a little bigger. It's like twice.
oh, wow.
Yeah, $4 trillion? And now they borrowed $4 trillion? That's more than all the 50 states combined.
Well, when we're living in this age of disclosure, and I'll just call it the Class A miracle times, we are getting rid of the Federal Reserve. That debt is going to be shipped out to sea. Absolutely, 100%. We know that. So I'm not actually that concerned about the debt right now as much as I am getting our economy back and working. If you were in Congress, how would you be lobbying your fellow congressmen to stimulate the economy? Because, I mean, the Democrats did just pass the $400 and what $billion bill? It was $400 and something billion dollars.
Just for a small business thing.
Yeah, that was just yesterday.
Yeah. The numbers just go off.
I know, they're
off
just
the chart.
crazy.
They don't mean anything. The government can, as a businessman myself, I understand what regulations do to you in business.
Oh, regulations.
And what they do to business. You want to get out of the way of the business guy. People know what to do. They want less paperwork. So
Right.
there's laws on the books that I'd be number one to get rid of. Davis-Bacon, prevailing wage. The history of Davis-Bacon. I don't know if you know the history of Davis-Bacon.
I don't know the history of it, but that's a great conversation.
I'll tell
to
you
have.
real fast. It's a federal
Yeah.
law. The white man general contractor in Alabama won a job to do a federal job. I think it was Veterans Hospital in New York, Long Island. He brought his black workers with him. Not in the union. This is 1920s. They're construction workers. Like 80% of they think there were a lot of building trades in the South. They were carpenters and plumbers and all that.
Yeah.
Black workers. He bring them up there, paying them less than the union scale. He bring them up to New York to do work on that job. The unions don't want the blacks in the union. They don't want him paying them less. He's got the job. Robert Bacon, a Republican, House member, sponsors a bill in the House that when you use federal money on a job, you would pay the prevailing wages of the area. That's where that came from.
Okay.
Okay, and then James Davis, I think he was a House member, and he just ended up being a senator, too, from Pennsylvania. Republican, senator, sponsored in the Senate. Became the Davis-Bacon Act. Anytime there's federal money on a job, you pay the prevailing wages, which equate to union wages, which was inflated, not market rates. And then so states, they did it first at the federal level, and then some states started little Davis-Bacon Acts, and then counties, and then cities.
And now
anytime
today
there's
we
tax
have
money,
UBI.
Right. So that would start out
Sure.
Jim Crow laws. And what a lot of people don't realize, that's anti-black legislation bills, and that's one Republican law that the Democrats don't want to repeal. And neither do the Republicans. Well, some of them do, but generally they don't, because it's been, now, it's just a little known fact you didn't know about. Trump talks about black unemployment rate, the lowest ever, right? Lowest ever in history, says, the United States.
Yes.
It's not the lowest ever. But did you know that black unemployment rate used to be lower than white unemployment rate? Always. Always. It was always lower. There was no welfare. They didn't give black folks money to
But I
not
guess
work.
where are we getting those statistics? Because today's statistics are based on other data that maybe
Well, I'm
20
talking,
or 30
I'm
years
talking
ago.
history. I got this. I brought the book that guys
Mm-hmm.
did the history before Davis Bacon. The last year, Davis Bacon came in 31.
31. Okay.
1930 was the last year black unemployment was lower than white.
But that
After
was such a
then it
different
went higher.
time.
Nah,
Because
you got black and white, no different time. That's spin, not different time. Work is work, and it was lower then. Black folks always worked, and
But-
we need to get back to that. Instead of now, you take for granted black
we
folks
had,
are supposed to be out of work.
I think, oh, right. So
They're not supposed to be out of work.
Right.
They're supposed to have jobs. I want those boys with the cap turned around and bags,
Yeah, their-
pants hanging.
their
I
pants
want
hanging.
them to work, be at
Right.
work. Crime would go down. They'd have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the business ownership is amongst black folks? What's the population of black folks percentage-wise in the United States? About? Just what do you think?
I'm thinking around 35%.
No, a third of the population of the United States is black folks? No. It's more like 13, 14,
Really?
15. Yeah.
That's it?
Well, yeah. Now, some areas, Chicago,
right.
it's high.
The urban
but,
areas.
Yeah, urban, yeah. But no, nationwide, it is like 13%.
I know
okay?
Las Vegas is like a few percent.
Yeah, it's lower, like that. That's 11, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 11. Anyway, but 13%, let's say 13% nationwide. Now, what are they in the prison population? More than 13
oh,
or
huge.
less?
Way
Okay,
bigger than 13.
disproportionate in jail, right? Okay, what are they in business ownership? Out of 100% of the businesses, do black folks own 13% of the businesses? That would be par.
That's a number that we need to improve, whatever
Well,
it is.
according to my readings, 0.3%. That's the business ownership by black folks. 0.3%.
What?
That's why they're not screaming open the businesses again. They don't own any.
Yeah.
Business ownership but they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Before integration. Integration hadn't worked out so good for black folks. I'd go back to May 1954, the Brown decision that forced integrate the schools. The schools that my mother went to, little shacks and everything, the teachers liked the kids though. The
Right.
black teachers, they liked the kids. How many school
Yeah.
shootings do you think they had back then?
0. Mhm.
Okay, now something's wrong,
Yeah.
right? The kids could read and write though,
Yeah.
and they liked them.
Well, they didn't have Common Core. So
Well, and all that propaganda
Yeah,
and
all-
political and
it's a-
cussing, profanity in the schools. You know, it's not uncommon. The kids, even elementary schools, that they cuss at the schools. The kids.
Well, let's consider, the sex education issue in the schools. So here's something else. Trump has basically wiped out the Department of Education. They are no longer involved in any K through 12 decisions.
That'd be good if that's true.
That's a fact.
Okay.
But here's something else. He is forcing the states to do the same thing, and the COVID-19 virus gave us a preview of how that's going to look. We need to trust the parents, put all the decision-making back into the parents'
Sure.
hands.
We need. I'm big time for the vouchers or tax credits would be
Right.
deduct the money you spend for school right off the top of your taxes, dollar for dollar.
Oh, that would be a
Or
good
whatever
way.
you paid the line item in the property tax.
Mhm.
Because you look at your property tax, the biggest line items are fire, police, and the school.
Right.
Deduct all that right off the top out of your taxes, what you paid for school,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes to child, follow the child, money to follow
Right.
the child. What that would do right away is you separate the parents that care about their children from the ones that don't care. Now, how do you know which ones care and don't care? The ones that make their kids mind. The kids that talk back, parents don't care about them. The kids that don't talk back, their parents care about them. They make
Right.
them mind.
Right.
That's how you separate the ones that care that don't care. A teacher can teach 30, 40 kids if they're all well behaved and they mind.
Mm-hmm.
They can do that.
Well, we won't go into that because honestly, what I think is going to happen is most public school districts are just simply going to be so different when we come back next fall. We're not even going to have the same problems we're issued
Think
now.
it's going to be better? What?
Oh no, it's going to look way different. I believe that a lot of things are going to happen over the summer. I mean, when you follow what Trump is doing to the government and how he's tearing everything down, a lot of the people who put these laws into place, they're not going to look the same. And I think the schools themselves are the school landscape is gonna completely change.
What kind of example? Can you give me is the union's going to have the same clout? Is the teachers union just hollered about they wanted this
the
and
pay
that?
raise.
So you
They
guys
wanted
can't,
the pay
you can't
raise.
strike, but they got what they wanted without striking. So
Yeah.
this guy, Jara, the latest one,
Oh yeah, so who broke the open meeting
He
laws?
seemed like, I don't know, you go down, I've been to a school board meeting once, and man, it's like, everybody ought to go down there, treat it like a field trip.
Yeah.
Go as an excursion and see what it's like at a school board meeting, and you won't believe it. You got no idea. I didn't.
You won't believe it.
But they seem like their hands are tied. They can't really run the school district.
Well, we have 91% administrative cost. So if you and I ran our businesses at a 91%,
You'd go out of business. You wouldn't
right?
be in business. Yeah.
So we
There's a lot of
aren't in
ways.
business because look at our. So when I was following this 2 years ago, they were still publishing the statistics, and I'd look on the website every couple months. The last time they published statistics, which was right after Jara got there, they erased a bunch of stuff on their website. Guess what the percentage was of kids passing with a D or better?
Before they changed that test,
From 8th grade to 9th grade, 9th grade to 10th grade. What was our step-up rate?
it seemed like there was a real high failure rate, graduation rate. It was like, it seemed like it was like over 60%,
Yeah.
70-some%.
So we, at the last time that they published statistics, which they stopped doing, we only had a 24% rate of kids earning an A through a D. So the rest of the percentage was less than D.
Yeah, wow, yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
And the ESL was lower. It was around 17%. So
They can't read. They're not
they can't read, they
reading
can't
either.
write, but the Common Core math does that to people. Look at the worst and slowest way to get to any answer is through Common Core curriculum. And that's what the parents are learning. I mean, they cannot believe that these kids, I mean, when you and I were in 3rd and 4th grade, we learned our multiplication
Yeah.
tables. They don't even know them going into 7th grade now.
Wow.
The curriculum is so watered down and different. History, there is none. Everything's
the
fabricated.
schools definitely have to be reformed. They have to be fixed. And the integration hurt the schools overall. It just
Yes.
got worse after forced integration, which is just as bad as
Yes, that was a
forced
70s
segregation.
thing.
Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah,
busing.
the busing,
and,
yeah, it's just as bad as forced
Yes.
segregation. What was wrong about segregation is forced. Now, what if Matt, think out of the box, if schools get people allowed their parents, it can be all white schools, all black schools, and schools where they're mixed up.
But if it's all privatized, then let the parents decide, let the schools decide.
Right, it should be reversed. So what's it, 3% private, 97% government schools now? That should be reversed.
It will be reversed.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope you're right. I want it to be. But
Well, that budget's going to go away.
Well,
Because a lot of it was based on federal money. We're not getting that anymore. The taxation for the schools, the people are going to rise up. The biggest chunk of our property tax is going to schools that can't even pass 20% of the kids. Are you kidding?
well, it's been going on it's just going on more and more, getting worse and worse.
Right.
And the way the kids dress at school even, and what they allow at school and what they don't allow and what they can talk about and the profanity. To me, you can't have a teacher use profanity in front of the kids. That's just over the top.
Right.
And that's commonplace in there, and the kids using it too.
I know.
And so I'd want a school where that don't take place. And so the people that don't mind, send your kids to that school.
Well, right now, the Department of Education federally is basically just now sort of like I'll call it a college loan bank. And even that is getting whittled down to the point where maybe in 5 years it'll just be completely gone.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But I see this political correctness and playing the race angle as keeping it going. Because, you're going to take money from these kids, underprivileged kids. You're going to take, what's the expression, inner city. That's these little buzzwords, and at risk. That's derogatory.
All kids are at risk.
I wouldn't call my child at risk. But they just throw them out there like no problem, and they feel good about it. We're helping these at-risk kids. You name call it, but they don't see it that way. They tell you what name calling is, but I'm standing up to them, talking back to them.
I'm
Don't
so
call
glad
me
you are.
African American. That's name calling. Call me colored, because they say person of color. Well, what's the difference between a person of color and a colored person? You tell me.
There,
What color
there is
person?
none.
Person of color.
And
well,
why are we
so
even
call
just...
me colored then. They refer to say colored people. Whenever you hear somebody say person of color, ask them what the difference between a colored person and a person of color. Ask them that.
You know,
You gotta stand up to them.
I think Candace Owen and you would be besties right now. Don't you just love her?
I heard her. I never heard her talk about like Obama. Shouldn't that start the race debate about race relations when he got called the N-word? When he got called that, you didn't know he got called that. You know Trump won't go to those correspondence dinners, right?
Right.
He's the first president.
Thank God.
He stopped going. Well, yeah, you know why he stopped though?
Well, they're all propaganda.
Well, the last president that went got called that word. You know that.
But that's not why he doesn't go. So I'll give you the reason
But he
why.
won't say that because then he'll
No.
get in trouble if he says.
No, that's
he
not
can't
true.
say the word. White people can't say that word.
But
You admit he can't say it, right? He
no.
can't say it. No matter what, he can't say it. He cannot pronounce that word. The free speech don't apply to the president. I can say it, but he can't, right? You agree with that, don't you?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, but that's wrong.
Let me just tell you something. So Obama, on his way out the door, right? So he knows he's lost the election.
Yeah.
He passed with the NDAA in 2016 a bill. And it's attached
What's
in there.
NDAA?
That's the military budget. So
Okay.
every year we have to go through the military
Yeah,
budget.
the Constitution
right?
says you can only fund it for 2 years at a time.
Right. So every year, though, they
Yeah.
have been passing a new one. So he's passing it along, and what does he add on to it? The Propaganda Act. The Propaganda Act basically said that news outlets don't have to tell the truth. That's why
Well, he didn't need to add that. They don't tell the truth now.
But they were kind of telling the truth, although lying to manipulate us all along. We've been lied
They
to our
don't
whole
have to-
lives. Let's
that's-
face it,
They don't
right?
have to tell the truth. That's funny.
I know, but it's called the Propaganda Act. You can look it up. I've got it on my
Okay.
blog. And so Trump, that's why he kept saying fake news, fake news.
But he's right.
Because they don't have to, they cannot be held to any standard
They're-
because of that act.
And the First Amendment put them in there so that they can make sure there's
They were the
transparency in the government.
fourth
To
branch
make sure
of
there's
government.
transparency. They're supposed
Right.
to tell us what the government's up
They're
to.
supposed to investigate.
Tell us what the government's up
Yes.
to. But now they're in on it. They've been
Right.
compromised.
Yes.
But I asked you before, I don't know if we were on air when I asked you, what other elected official, Democrat or Republican, agreed with Trump publicly about they being enemy of the people? Can you name one? Not one that I know of. He's the only guy that said they're the enemy of the people, and nobody agreed with him. They won't agree. I agree with him.
Well, he's got so much inside information. I mean, let's look at the Trump presidency. He's been working on this for 35 years. And that is part of the plan, the storm. They studied history. So Trump's came from a military high school. He graduated first in his class for strategy.
Oh, he's like ROTC? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was a military prep school. And then...
No, I didn't know. I never heard that. Is that right?
And he was the most brilliant strategist the school ever had. He studied the art of war fastidiously.
And Clausewitz, maybe?
Maybe.
By Clausewitz on war?
Let's invite him on air, and then you and I can ask him that question, right?
Yeah.
But then from then on, he went to the Wharton School of College of Economics. So he had all this great background. He knew that the Federal Reserve had to come down.
Mm-hmm.
He realized in our history what was wrong. I mean, his dad was a John Bircher. The Birch Society was one of the first, I'll call it, really hardcore constitutional advocacy groups of the day.
They got a bad name, bad rep, you know.
Yeah,
the left,
well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, because they're for the people.
Right, they're for, right.
So
Gotta see if
anything
right.
for the people has
Right.
been attacked.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I didn't know that about Trump.
Uh-huh.
Well, who do you see coming after Trump?
Well, I'm
'Cause
just
he's
trying to
gonna-
get
he's on
through
the
till
last time.
November, but
Yeah.
we've got
He'll
4
win it.
more.
He'll put 4 more years,
We'll
but
get 4 more years.
still,
Well,
I mean,
you know, we have to kind of see how everything goes because what we think is coming up may not be.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody knows.
we absolutely, we have to be prepared
Yeah.
for whatever happens.
Yeah.
But we need to have a president like him who is for the individual liberty and free enterprise.
I like him. He's bigger government guy than I like, but I like him.
But he's not. Hey, did you see that Secretary of State? So 2 days ago on Fox,
Yeah.
they did an hour and a half press conference with just Fox. And wasn't it great? Did you watch
No,
it?
I didn't watch it. No.
So,
I don't watch much. I
Yeah.
don't watch much of that stuff because, Tucker Carlson's all right, but Fox they don't. This is what I go by. When Obama got called that name
Mm-hmm.
in public at the correspondence dinner, in front of all those people, that venue, a person like that using that word, one of the most provocative words. I mean, people get fired over that.
Yeah.
And he got called that and accepted the term. He accepted it. He got called that name, and he didn't have a problem with it. That could have been his sister soldier moment, like Clinton did with the rapper lady. He said, "Oh, no, point the finger." He didn't do that. He accepted. So white people, they sit back and get fired over that, and don't stick up for each other. So wait a minute. That's right there. That should start the conversation. Wait a minute. Obama, so-called first black president, I question that. I'll tell you my.
Well, he's a Muslim.
Well, I don't. He doesn't admit to being Muslim, but he meant to being black.
Well, his code name was Renegade. He's a Muslim. His brother has come out and said he's a Muslim.
A covert Muslim, huh? Well, if he.
Oh, he ain't just covert. He's CIA.
Well, I understand about faith and belief, and there's maybe different. But if you don't admit to your faith publicly, you kind of like Christ won't know you.
Right.
If you don't.
You have to bear witness to Christ.
Yeah. If you don't bear witness, then I won't know you either.
Right.
So you got to admit to what you are, and if you don't admit to it, it may be something wrong with it then.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, so he gets called this name, and nobody gets fired. Nothing happened. But a Metro cop say that word, he gets fired. Any government worker say that word, gets fired. You get overheard saying it, you get fired. And here he got. I want to start that conversation. So I challenge the black, or not black necessarily, the conservative. The conservative, maybe Republican, whatever. The conservative in Nevada, the conservative black and white, a conservative black and white, party head or not, state party chairman, county chairman, and a progressive, to talk about race relations. And what I'm going to ask you to comment, go on the record about Obama getting called that name. What did you say about it? What did the elected official, what did Dina Titus say when Obama got called a name? If she didn't hear about it, that tells you something right
Honestly,
there.
I don't remember anything about it.
None of them. Rush Limbaugh talked about it maybe a few minutes. I caught part of his show. He never said the word. Savage gave it to most judges. Michael Savage gave it to
I'm
most
way
judges.
more concerned about the extreme radical Muslim background of Obama and how he has gone about creating his Antifa. I mean, when you dig down deep, you see the whole thing got...
Muslim Islam, I think, is a problem. The religion itself is a problem. I think it runs counter to free enterprise, our system, our way of life. Runs counter to that. But I don't think they're going to be successful in what's the worldwide,
well,
what's it?
Islamation of America right now is, what they're trying to do in Chrislam. So the Catholics are Islamic.
The traction they're getting is because of political correctness.
Right.
You don't dare challenge them. So you gotta get political correctness.
But you need freedom of speech and not
political
censorship.
Political correctness is based on the black-white race thing. They use the Negroes for leverage. That's the moral authority.
What do you think? What do you think a person of color should be called?
Colored.
Colored. Okay.
I'd say if you one of the good guys, say colored, or black, or Negro. Because Negro is Spanish for black.
Think Okay, so Black Voices for Trump is really coming online. What do you think of the movement?
I never heard of him. But I mean, some black folks support Trump. I support Trump. Think he's all right. Like I said, I disagree with you. I think he's a little bigger government than I am. But
he's actually small government. So let's go back to this. The
$4 trillion budget, the small government.
No, I'm telling you. So
I know you're telling me, but I'm going by $4 trillion.
Which is so great because he's giving the money back to the people. So
he could veto and they override, and he'd say, I tried.
Well,
he could veto and they override. And he'd say, well,
two days ago for this Mike Pompeo conference I was telling you about. So, he's Secretary of State. He comes on and tells us that instead of this money going to WHO, instead of going to CDC, instead of going to all these other places, now they're breaking it down and they're giving it to foundations that apply. It's called the NPI, the New Something Partner, or New NPI.
The operative word you said was giving it to.
No. So they're looking at people who are creating vaccines for the good. So instead of going, spending a few billion with CDC, they're going in much smaller amounts to private contractors that have real solutions for healthcare.
Private sector is the answer.
So it's private sector, and I'm telling you what.
Private over public.
Yes, it's called USAID is another faction of it. I will send you the link.
Some private contractors can get, say, hooked on government money, government this and government that. So you don't want the government to, they, like the one guy, private contractor, I remember seeing on TV,
we need somebody to...
He said, they call it pork, I call it steak, he said. Contractor getting contracts.
You know, look at Big Pharma and the path that led us down to this road to perdition. So he's staving off, instead of going left, he's going right, zigging instead of zagging, and what we're getting now is solutions. Because we need companies to make pharmaceuticals.
Right.
We need companies
and I heard that the Chinese are making the most of
Oh,
our
the
stuff.
Chinese were
They
making
got exported.
92% of our pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
and the Clinton Foundation rules for having it come in allowed them to escape all scrutiny. Besides the fact that in 1993, Clinton sold
Yeah, some
China
technology,
our
I heard
ports.
about that. I remember.
No, they sold them our ports, so we had no basis for imports.
It didn't
What do you
show
call
up.
it?
You don't know or care who makes something, as long as they do it at a good price and its quality.
Right,
it
but
don't matter.
the quality was never checked. And then so like
I
look
don't
at
know
they
the
were.
drugs I've been taking from my doctor that's another thing. I
Oh,
can't go to one
don't
yet.
take any. They're saying
Well,
take them all.
I don't know where they come.
take
I
stock.
gotta trust my doctor. I trust some people. I
Trust
my
the doctor, but the doctor doesn't test the drugs because he's
Yeah.
trusting them, and we can't trust any drugs
Yeah,
from China,
I'm
as
not-
we've seen.
I'm not so cynical as to not trust anybody. I do trust some people. I
but
want people to
but
trust me, I
92%
trust
of our pharmaceuticals and vaccines were made in China.
the over-the-counter stuff that we take.
Yes.
I don't know.
Tons
It
of
hadn't
stuff.
bothered me. I take the
How do
vitamins and different stuff.
No,
I
no,
don't
not the
know.
vitamins, not
I'm in decent health,
nutraceuticals, but I'm talking about for example, the losartan, valsartan, all that. That's why that lawsuit now is over $1 billion. Everybody taking that heart medication to lower their, blood pressure.
Yeah.
It was laced with lead and mercury.
I don't know. Hypertension. You want to stay as healthy as you can these days,
Right.
or any days anyway.
Exactly.
Because the medical system, but I'm not for the government taking over the healthcare system. It's bad enough
Right.
as it is.
Well, I mean, VA, worst example ever in the world of single-payer
Right.
healthcare, right?
Right, but in VA, I've been reading in my readings, the veterans have had problems since day one, since
Right.
the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
They never straightened it out. So I don't know.
Well,
I never
he has
looked
straightened
that
it
much
out.
into it, but the veterans has always been a problem, and
Yes.
so I gotta wonder. Do they really want to fix it, or is it not really a problem?
Well, they've
'Cause
definitely fixed
it's
it.
always been around. Pick a year, pick a president, pick an administration. They've always had problems. This first one was George Washington.
Yeah. So in 2018, Trump signed the Veteran Mission Act, and in fact, I just wrote an article on it this morning. So that now has allowed, if veterans aren't getting the health care they need, or they're being
They can go
made
to
private
private
enterprise, and it has solved the problem.
Good.
Like literally in a few months.
Good.
So,
good. Now, if we can get out of wars,
Yeah.
like what's this war down in Afghanistan? There's still how many trillion it's been over there and over the years, and I'd like him to pull out of there.
He is.
All this money against a country with no army, no navy, no air force.
So look at the wars. Look at the real wars. Look at how the CIA, who's obviously located in Switzerland, right? The CIA headquarters is really in Switzerland.
I never heard that. I
yeah.
thought it was in Virginia.
Well, no, that Langley, that's just training
Yeah.
center. That's the one that they see us. They go, hey, everybody,
Yeah.
it's really over here. No, it's over in Switzerland. So
I don't know that. I
this-
got to go with what.
this-
I've never been to Washington, D.C.
Okay, well, the
So, I'm an
CIA
outsider.
came in both sides, and they started the war, and they fund the war on both sides to keep it going. It's called the military-industrial complex.
So, Eisenhower wrote it. I heard he's famous, made a speech about those guys. All the government needs to be watched because they get in charge of money.
Yes.
And they game the thing. They give it to my buddies, contracts
Yeah.
to my buddies, and when I retire, I go work for them and all that stuff. That's why you got to keep tight rein on how much the government gets in the first place.
Right.
Remember I brought up how the
So they
original
shouldn't have
funding,
the tax.
the
They're-
original
a lot
funding of the
tax is
government. There shouldn't even be a private personal income tax.
Right.
The funding of the federal government
And
should
Trump
be
is getting rid of it.
the
That's
per-
why he's
yeah,
getting rid of
good
the
luck.
IRS.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, the IRS is a
the-
collection agency that moved down to Puerto Rico in
The
1951.
federal government should be funded by the states. And like I said, when they first created the federal government, and somebody like the anti-federalist, like a Thomas Jefferson
Yes.
would have said to Alexander Hamilton, who was a
Yeah.
federalist, okay, now you got your new central government. That's what they call it. Then you got your new central government. How much money you think you need? And he'd say, more money than all you put together. He wouldn't have said that. They didn't expect that much.
Right.
But how do you expect to get it? I can imagine two ways they would have funded that government. A flat amount, all 13 states kick in the same amount, or
Which you can't do.
yeah, well, I'm just saying this is what makes sense to me.
Right.
The beginning, everybody kick in the same amount, or a proportion based on the size of your state. How many people? Virginia's a big state. They pay more than Georgia. Now, Georgia was a small population state, so Georgia may pay something based on a formula
what
based
if it
on
was,
either population or a flat rate.
Wait a
Those
minute.
are the only two.
Instead of population, why don't we base it on the gross state product?
No, I mean,
the GSP.
Nowadays, yeah, we could come up with a formula, but no personal income tax. That should
Right.
never be.
Exactly.
And the
High five
Constitution
to
was
that.
designed, it wasn't supposed to be
Right.
one. The government's supposed to be funded by the states.
Yes.
And so that's where you want to get back to there as close as you can. And they've been overlooking and not going by the Constitution
Totally.
since it was written.
I know.
I mean, missing stuff, and it's a work in progress.
Well-
It's a work in progress. You're dealing with people, human nature, and just all around. But all you can do is the best you can do. And,
Well,
and-
with our global New World Order government being torn down, we've got a whole new, I'll call it a bright horizon. So you're going to be one of those people that are going to help forge that, which
yeah,
is
I
so
hope
exciting.
I hope so. Yeah.
For Nevada, Nevada was born corrupt. In 1861, we were entered into the, United States,
Well,
and we didn't even have this.
64 he gets that statehood with Lincoln. He
Yeah.
cheated on that even
Right.
because
He did. He did
yeah,
cheat.
he did something.
We didn't even have the amount of people, 60,000 people. We didn't
Well,
have that. That's why they had the gold and mining rush.
They-
Hey, gold,
They
silver.
politic. West Virginia was carved out of Virginia without his
Right.
permission. And he
Exactly.
wasn't supposed to do that.
Correct.
But that was during the war. A lot of hanky-panky went on during the Civil War.
Yes.
A lot of hanky-panky.
But
we're living with it now.
I know. So how should we handle the ceding the federal lands back to the state? Because that's why we have so much public land here in Nevada.
Right.
$2 trillion.
That's another one of my pet peeves.
Yeah, the $2 trillion.
The federal government's not supposed
Yeah.
to own more than half, not even nowhere near.
Well, in Kansas it's 2%, Missouri
Yeah.
it's 1%.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Like the public.
Well, only what the Constitution says, only
Right.
what they need for
Right.
bases and certain
Right.
things. Not
Forts,
huge
forts,
swaths, 85% of Nevada and the
Yeah.
90-some of Alaska. No way.
Yeah.
But our Congress people now, Dina Titus, Harry Reid, he's gone now, but Jackie Rosen, our senators, they don't want to take land from the federal government. They're all for that.
I
They're
know.
not. They say they're for Nevada, but they want the federal government to own most of Nevada.
Right.
They shouldn't be it, but people vote for them. And
Just
a
a
lot out of
word.
ignorance, I
How
guess.
would you get the federal lands back for
Well,
Nevada's use?
it was called the Northwest Ordinance of 1787.
Okay.
Northwest Ordinance 1787. At the time, they were dealing with Illinois, Ohio. It was when they were coming into. They were territories. Minnesota,
Yeah, but that got-
Wisconsin, in that area.
that's
Northwest
through-
Ordinance of 1787. It's in July. They come up with this, and they didn't ratify the Constitution. Not ratify, but finish writing it.
Right.
September 17th, Constitution. This is in July, that summer.
Yeah, but
the Northwest
the equal
Ordinance.
footing doctrine
That's
took
where
care
that
of
was. That's where that was. No, that's where that was spelled out.
Okay.
No, every state that comes into the
Yes,
union, as they're
right.
added in union, will come in on an equal footing with the
Right.
original 13.
Yes.
Equal footing, it means just that.
Right.
Not 85% owned by the federal government. When Nevada came in,
Yeah, but
every state
here's
as they
why
come
it's
in.
85%, and you got to come back because we're not done.
Yeah,
But we had the silver lode, and the silver lode of Nevada.
Comstock Lode,
Yeah.
that mine.
Yes, it was, and throughout Nevada at the time in 1864,
Yeah,
it was worth over $2 trillion just in assays at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Nevada kept all of this federal land, because they essentially have a hold on it because it was supposed to pay for
during the war, help pay
Civil
for the
War.
war and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Well,
So-
back again, that's just
Hanky-panky, like you
lot,
said.
Yeah, a lot of stuff went on during the Civil War.
I know.
Hanky-panky. Here's these southern states. No, they don't have representation in Congress. They're doing things. They passed the
Mm-hmm.
13th Amendment during the war, right? Or ratified, right out of close.
Right.
And Lincoln was still alive, and they outlawed slavery. But we have to go back and look at that. And we can correct it with the right leadership. We can correct it, but
I believe we can.
We have to talk about it.
Yes.
We have to be candid
So
when we talk
would you
about
be
it.
bringing these things up in the legislature and trying to move some bills
In
ahead?
Congress,
to
you
get
bet.
this-
I'd
yeah.
want to talk about it. Find people that see it the way I do, and talk about them.
Right.
We need to have a candid conversation.
Yes,
which
we do.
political correctness has to go out the window.
Correct.
We can't have restrictions on what you can say and,
And
what I
somebody
can
needs
say.
to shoot it when it goes out the
you
window.
can say anything the First Amendment says. You can say anything I can say.
Yes.
It protects your right to say anything I can say.
Right.
If I got a brother, say I got a brother and I call him Sonny Boy. You hear me call my brother Sonny Boy. And I say, you see me call him, that don't mean you can call him Sonny Boy. He knows me.
Right.
And he don't mind me call him Sonny Boy, but that doesn't mean you can call him Sonny Boy.
Right.
So, but you can go to your friend or your sister, anybody else, and say, hey, I saw Kamau call that guy Sonny Boy. I heard Kamau call that guy Sonny Boy. You can say the word that I used
Yes.
in that context.
Right.
You can do that with the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that with the N-word, but not according to political correctness. You can't. You can't. But I'm telling you, we have to deal with that. That's a manifestation of the psychological stuff
Yes.
going on in the heads of colored people that needs to be dealt with. And white people will choose to look away. It's going to go away. It's not going away. We're losing. And I come forward now because things are so bad, I got to step up and comment on it.
I know,
You
and
can't
you're
even tell
standing
a
up.
boy's a girl. Call a boy a girl, girl a boy.
I know. Oh,
That's how
and
bad it
33
is.
pronouns. Hey, what's your website, Kamau?
KamauBakari.com. And I'm getting up and going. But
Can we
I'm
send
still
you a
working on
donation
it.
there?
Don't send me donations yet. I'd rather have your courage
Oh.
than your money. The
That's great.
money is not what's wrong with campaigns.
Yeah.
Money is not it. Bloomberg proved that. Money is not what's the problem. You can have much money is and that's not it. It's more than money. I want to talk about people. I want to talk about reality and
Well, you got to come back and see us real
I will.
soon.
I'll come back if you have me back. Thank you for having me here.
No,
That
it's
shows
been
some
great.
courage to
This
even
is
have me here.
This is Vegas Views. Denise Mraz. See you next time.
This ministry.